Testing. Hey YouTube. Somebody gets on and can give me a sound check. Once again, I am bereft of topics, hoping that we'll get some questions going in the chat. Hey Cobweb Caverns, welcome to the stream. Give me a sound check, please. Hey Tom Patterson, thanks for the sound check. Welcome to the stream. Like I said, today I'm bereft of topics once again. If you guys have some questions or maybe a topic to talk about, that would be a huge help. Something to get me rambling. All the news I have is basically health news, and I did note that Baldur's Gate 3 is supposed to be coming out soon by Laren Studios. I don't know if very many of you are gamers, but Baldur's Gate has been a game that's been around forever and is much beloved by the RPG, D&D community, and Laren Studios is producing Baldur's Gate 3, which should make it an awesome game. Things are going along swimmingly with my fish. Mine and my wife's fish. They're doing pretty much okay. My Burjakinas are getting older, but they're really not showing me any breeding behaviors that I can spot. My Nigricinctus are doing fine, but I'm not really getting any real breeding behaviors from them either. Hey Punchy, welcome to the stream. How's Pam doing today? Thanks for getting it, honey. So things are going along pretty normally here at the Kitchel household with our fish. I have noticed online on YouTube that there is a lot of activity going on. Bob ran a stream yesterday for Caleb. Those of you that know Candy Overalls will recognize that her son Caleb has been dealing with leukemia for the past 3 years and getting treated for it, and that he finally got to ring the cancer-free bell last week, I think it was, or week before last. And one of the things that he wanted was a crested gecko. And Bob and a bunch of the fish tube people, fish fam folks, have gotten together and gotten him a complete setup and his crested gecko. As far as I know from Bob's stream, it's all been ordered now. I'm sure he'll have to wait for delivery for a while. Terry's Tropical Tank says 1:46 on a Saturday, time for an adult beverage. I think so. Yeah, I'm sure that's on the menu for a lot of people, and welcome to the stream, Terry's Tropical Tanks. But I was especially, I mean, you guys know me, I don't have a lot of money, so I don't usually give in any of the normal give now things, but even I donated $10 for Caleb because it's really pretty remarkable that he has gone through such a terrible situation at his age and has come out the other side with a good prognosis. He has to go 5 years before he's considered cancer free, but he's in 100% remission. And I think that's a really great thing and something that's well worth celebrating. And Candy Overalls works her butt off in everybody's live streams. And so I think it's particularly fitting that the Fish Fam group as a whole got together and donated and have helped Bob facilitate Caleb getting his entire crested gecko set up. And I also caught one of Susan's live streams, and she is setting up a Patreon fund for people who are going through rough times, Fish Fam people. I think the latest is DPK. I don't know if all of you know who DPK is, but he's had some pretty remarkable live streams that he's done and videos. Basically, he worked in a big warehouse, and he had the computer room, which was one of the rooms he took care of, set up as a fish room, and had racks and racks and racks of fish in it. And evidently something has happened to either him or his whole family. I didn't get the complete gist of it, but either there was a serious car wreck or something happened, and Susan's trying to gather people up to help him and help his family. Evidently they're going through a rough time right now, and I think it's wonderful that we as a group of fish tube people, Fish Fam, can pool our resources and help each other out in times of trouble or in times of celebration or in lots of different ways. I mean, Joey gathered together, what, $40,000 in a couple of hours on his there are a lot of us out there, Fish Fam, a lot of fish tube YouTubers, a lot of people that watch, a lot of people that pay attention, and I think it's wonderful that we can, as a group, you know, there's probably more than 1 million people on and off of YouTube who are following Fish Fam and just YouTube fish keepers. And I think it's incredible that that group can wield really useful power in small donations from many, many different people to help projects that are worthy, help people that are in bad times, help celebrate, like Caleb getting to ring the bell for being in 100% remission of cancer. It's really a wonderful thing to see the community come together and pull together to help someone out. And I would really recommend the selfless act of giving in a situation where you are capable of doing that, and you see a project or a situation where you can help out. You guys can go and look on Susan's channel. I'm sure she'll be carrying more information about this project of hers to set up a fish tuber disaster response account, and there are countless other projects out there, but it just goes to show you how many people there are that are interested in this hobby, that even tangentially watch and pay attention to what's going on on fish keeping videos on YouTube. And what a great bunch of people we are. We're all human. We all have our flaws, but when we're gathered together in a very large group, um, fish keepers can be some of the most caring, kind, knowledgeable people that you'll ever run into. And if you are someone that's out there that's looking for a hobby, looking for something that you can do where you will be in the company of other like-minded people that are genuinely remarkable and wonderful people, I can't express enough how much I think that fish keeping is a kind of hobby that delves into science, that delves into interpersonal relationships, that delves into club and organization relationships, that delves into the sheer joy of keeping wild creatures alive and watching them thrive under your care and breed and create new life. And it's a really remarkable experience, and one that I would recommend to young and old alike. And I would also uh, caveat that by saying that the fish keeping community is a really warm, caring, and remarkable group of people. There's something about fish keeping that seems to draw out our better angels. And while there's plenty of politics and there's plenty of egos and there's plenty of problems involved with it, it also can be a very rewarding, a very demanding pastime, hobby, science, uh, advanced ecology study. You're basically having your nose rubbed in the state of the world continuously by understanding habitat destruction and pollution and the drying up of fresh water around the world. There's a lot of us people drinking water right now, and more and more and more. And then you add the advanced temperatures that are being reached all over the planet lately. It is a wonder there is any wild habitat left, and it's drying up. Basically, there are streams and rivers that no longer exist anymore. There are streams and rivers that are so polluted they can't support life anymore. And there are places that have been fished out. There just really isn't any fish left. So it's it's a wonderful experience. It can be a highly expensive experience, but it is also one that returns a huge payback when you successfully keep fish and learn all the things that there are to learn about fish keeping. And I just feel like that it's a good thing that we as fish keepers, a lot of us have congregated on YouTube. I know YouTube is going through some real machinations right now. There's a lot of censorship going on. There's a lot of shutting people down for activities that probably are not helpful to the world at large, but it's still a forum that allows us to function together as a large group and wield a certain amount of power. And I really am heartened by the ways that that power gets wielded. You know, there's very rarely a story of greed and corruption turning a good project to evil in the fish keeping world. You just don't hear that very often. The people, for the most part, are genuine and warm and caring, and they wouldn't think of being underhanded or dirty in the way they deal with other people donating money for worthy causes. So, you know, I'm sure there are cases of that, but I think you will find it much less in this hobby than you do in a lot of other places in the world. And I think that's a good thing. I think that shows the kind of people. Hey, Daryl Deemer, welcome to the stream, man. The kind of people that you are likely to run across and deal with in the fish keeping hobby, and that's really a plus. That's really a benefit of being a member of the fish keeping hobby, is that the people that are around you are really genuinely wonderful people for the most part. I mean, you're always going to run into, you know, problems and different types of individuals, but for the most part, generally, in the fish keeping hobby, the people you run across are remarkably wonderful. And that's all I'll say about that. Although I would suggest that you check out the videos that Susan is putting out on this fund that she's trying to develop. Um, Other than that, I've been following Ohio Fish Rescue. If you guys haven't been watching, Ohio Fish Rescue has gone through some wonderful changes lately. Big Rich has quite the operation going up there, and he's hey HC Aqua, welcome to the stream. He is doing remarkable work there, taking fish from aquarists who have the fish have outgrown their tanks. The fish are way too large. You know, there are a lot of fish in this hobby that, unless you've got a 500 or 600 gallon tank and potentially more, 1,000, you really probably shouldn't take them on. You know, they don't tell you that. You can go to Walmart's or Kmart's and buy a little tiny 3-inch red-tailed catfish baby, but that fish can grow to be, you know, 5 or 6 foot long and 3 or 4 or 500 pounds fully grown. So they don't really tell you when you're buying fish what the end game is. Everybody loves common plecos, but common plecos can go 3 foot and be gigantic when they are fully grown. And that's not something that is on the tank when you go in one of these big box stores and buy that cute little pleco. You know, if it's a common pleco. Now, there are a lot of lure cards and a lot of other types of pecatillas and other types of plecos that do stay 3 or 4 inches their entire life. But if you're buying a common pleco, You're looking at a fish that can go 3 foot long, easy, fully grown. And that's always, as a fish keeper, it's incumbent on us to study the fish that we think we might want rather than just impulse buy, which we all do, but rather than just impulse buy, it's incumbent on us as fish keepers to study the fish we want to buy. If it's a fish we can't live without, then we should ask our live fish store owner to hold that fish for us while we go home and study it. Or if you're in the store and you've got your phone with you, these days you can literally just click on your phone and find out a lot of pertinent information about a fish that you see in the fish store. So, you know, it's just a pitfall that a lot of people are not. Yep, Tom Patterson says Bala Sharks, Walmart, 20-gallon minimum. Yeah. Well, Bala Sharks can get huge. Uh, you know, they're a fish that as new fish keepers we all fall in love with. They've got this gorgeous shark-shaped body, and they dart around the tank and are so active and alive that the idea of having 10 or 12 Bala sharks in a tank schooling or shoaling around is kind of hard to resist when you're a new fish keeper and you're looking at fish in the fish store. But you should know, you should do some research and find out just how big those Bala sharks can get when they're fully grown. And it's just incumbent on us to know. Yes, Tom, the bottom line at the big box fish stores, and I'm kind of trying to avoid mentioning names, but at the big box fish store, what they want to do is make a profit. And that's all they're really concerned about. Now, I say that, and yet I have experienced several times going into big box stores and finding someone working the fish area that was really knowledgeable about fish, not just someone that was just doing a 9 to 5 job and just punching the clock for a paycheck and didn't care to learn anything about it. There are a lot of young people that go to work for those big box stores that actually know a great deal about the area that they work in, or, you know, some of the areas that they work in. And occasionally you will find someone who does an exceptional job of taking care of their area, i.e. the fish area, and really does great work as far as caring for the fish that they get in, knowing what those fish are, and trying their best to help people make good choices when it comes to the fish that they pick. But you know, the customer's always right, even if the person working behind the counter is very knowledgeable. Sometimes people just want what they want, or sometimes a young family is giving their child what their child wants, and they don't really follow the rules. They just buy what they see or buy what the child points to. So there are times when even a good, knowledgeable staff person will be forced to sell to someone that really probably doesn't have. Hey, BB23, welcome to the stream. We're just generally yammering on about nothing here until somebody pops me a good question or brings up a good topic. I'm probably just going to bounce from topic to topic that enters my mind. I mean, there have been a few things this week that have caught my attention, and so I'm talking about those. But yeah, it really is incumbent on us as fish keepers to to do the research, to understand what the potential VB23 is hype about raising white cloud minnows fry in a 5-gallon bucket. He got golden pearls yesterday to properly nourish them. I guess I'm not familiar with what golden pearls are. I'm not sure what that represents, but I'm assuming it's some live food that the white clouds will eat. White clouds can be difficult for some people. I never had much luck raising white cloud fry. I don't know whether it was my skill level when I was getting them to breed. I kept them for a lot of years, but I rarely had good survival rates on the fry. Golden pearls is an artificial artemia. Oh, well, that sounds great. That's it's probably packed with nutrition, and that sounds like a good thing. Artemia, frozen Artemia is one of the, and not the same thing as golden showers, huh? and and Pam brings us back to the adult world. A very small powder fry food. It is 100 microns. Yeah, well, that's pretty darn small. And that's um, the white cloud fry are pretty darn small, so you would really need something that's tiny. Whenever I'm dealing with really small fry, I tend to want to throw Repashy powder in. I don't mix it. I don't make it into anything. I just stick my finger in a Repashy jar and then flick my finger over the tank, and that powder will coat the surface of the water and then slowly sink. And it is very, very, very fine, very tiny, and there are a lot of good minerals and nutrition in Repashy. So you're getting a lot of good stuff to the fry if they eat it, but it's small enough where they will eat it. And it's also, I mean, well, VB23, you better cover your ears then. Terry says brine shrimp direct has golden pearls in varying sizes. Okay, well, that's a new one on me, I've got to admit. But, there's a lot of different ways to do small feeding. I mean, I'm old school. Back in the day, we would take a little piece of lettuce and put it in a peanut butter jar, a clean peanut butter jar, and stick it on a windowsill and let it turn into green water. And about the time the water gets really green, you just take a turkey baster, clean turkey baster, and suck up a little bit of that green water and shoot it right where the fry are. Stick it down in the tank and shoot it right where the fry are. Yes, infusoria rules, and infusoria is what fry live off of in the wild, and it's rotifers, it's paramecium, it's all of the things that Tom Patterson says pot grinders work great for fry food, and I guess that would be true. Lucas Brett just crumbles up tropical granules, tetratropical granules, there's any number of ways. I mean, you can just go to the if you've emptied out a can of flake food, at the bottom of the can of flake food, there's always a couple of tablespoons of really dusted powder, and that will work as well. Yeah, that's the old school method. VB23 is to use stuff like green water. Um, these days, you can get so many different kinds of frozen live food. Live food that was frozen. That it is just remarkable all the different kinds of things that you can feed. And while frozen is not as good as live, BB23 says, I started a culture, but I might be too late. Well, BB23, I would recommend not vacuuming your tank for a few days while that green water culture gets up and running. And if you've got Repashy, feed them some Repashy powder, and I guess your golden pearls will come in at some point. You know, most most old school keepers would allow the fry to feed off of the natural um, parameciums and infusoria that was in their tanks. You know, that's one of the reasons why we say not to clean your tanks so much, or old school fish keepers say, you know, don't clean your tanks so much that they're spotless because the golden pearls are already being fed. Um, One of the benefits of using um, artificial food on fry is that usually they have some kind of color in them, and you can watch their bellies to see if their bellies start turning that color, and then you know that your fish are eating, that your fry are actually eating and consuming enough food and what they like. You know, like if you buy frozen Artemia, that little orange coloration that's in the frozen food will build up in their bellies, and you can see that orange coloration, or red coloration for flake food, or green for Repashy if you're using a green Repashy. And VB23 says, whoops, I have a 5-gallon bucket so I can't see anything. Well, you can get yourself a GoPro and drop it down in and watch them that way. Or if you have a camera, you can, or even a non-waterproof phone. If you get a really good plastic bag, you can sink your non-waterproof phone to the bottom and get some video that way potentially. It may be a little bit blurry going through a plastic bag, but there are a lot of different ways to deal with a 5-gallon tank. VB23 says they are surviving and thriving, so I assume they are eating and well. That's awesome, man. Um, White Cloud Mountain minnows are a highly underrated fish. They are capable of surviving conditions. They're like the Neocaridina shrimp of the fish world. They can really. Hey, Denny's Fish Tanks, welcome to the stream, man. Uh, we're just talking about topics that you guys bring up, or stuff that I think of in my head as I'm going along here. I'm really bereft of serious topics to cover today, so I'm dependent dependent on the kindness of strangers once again. Yeah, they really are beautifully colored. And they have some remarkable behaviors to them as well. if people have not kept white cloud mountain minnows, I highly recommend them as a fish to try. They sometimes they don't do great in community tanks. Is that somebody in our house? Oh, it is somebody in our house. Hey, Justin. Okay, guys, we've got company. I'm going to cut this short today.
Are you able to turn your phone on at all? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So, surprising cut short today. We've got company in the house, so I'm going to go deal with them. I hope you guys have good luck with your fish. And I'm out. Thanks.